Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Check Me. There's so much I want to talk about and cover right now, but the main thing I think that is making waves to the NFL right now is Brian Flores and what he's done and what he's currently doing right now. So I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to talk about the details and I'll add my perspective from it. I don't think anybody's surprised with what Brian Flores talks about, but essentially Brian Flores is alleging discrimination in the interview process with Denver, New York, and Miami on 3 different occasions. So in a 58-page lawsuit that was filed in Manhattan federal court, he seeks class action status. I mean, if you got a chance to look at this lawsuit, so much is mentioned in it. He talks about Kaepernick, Gruden, Dennis Allen, Michael Sam, George Floyd, Jim Caldwell, Steve Wilkes, David Culley, Eric Bearmy, and also about the concussion settlement for black players and how they've been discriminated in that process. So, I mean, this class action suit is literally it talks about the Rooney Rule as well too. Literally, it unpacks a lot. I think we all know that Brian Flores literally risking his career right now. But let me get to the skinny. So the 3 scenarios, I'll go deeper in them, but I want to talk about them at first. The first scenario is with the Miami Dolphins and how he was treated his time there as far as getting bribed with money to lose games, and then also on his way out, how they stated that he was somebody that was hard to work with. Then with the Broncos, he's talking about the process with John Elway and the owner came in, or the president came in. They were an hour late, they were drunk, and they didn't hire him. Then after that, they hired Vic Venjalia, the guy that just got fired recently from the Broncos. The last situation is with the Giants, when just recently he was interviewed, but he had already found out they hired somebody else for their job, so him getting interviewed was a formality. But I'll dive deeper into them to talk about the impact and what each of those mean in this suit. So the very first thing is with Miami, so basically when he got hired in Miami as a head coach, I mean, the franchise was just in turmoil, but when he got hired, that first season, I think they won 5 games. The Miami owner, Stephen Ross, asked him to tank and offered him $100,000 every time he lost. For every loss, he would get $100,000. He didn't take any of the money. So as the team started winning games late in the season, the GM, Grieg, whatever his name is, Grieg, told Flores, hey, look, Ross is upset, right? You're winning games and you're hurting our draft position. So that was the first thing he had to deal with. The second thing, he pressured him into recruiting a quarterback. So at the end of the season, he didn't want to, not necessarily drafting a quarterback, but recruiting a quarterback. He didn't want to, this is in 2020, he didn't want to necessarily recruit a quarterback. He said, look, I don't want to recruit a quarterback. So in not recruiting a quarterback, the owner Ross then invited Flores on a yacht, and then he was going to bring another potential quarterback there. When Flores found out this, he left the yacht. Now imagine Flores, right? You're in on a yacht with the owner of the team, and he's telling you, hey, bring in a quarterback. We have a quarterback on the way right now. Just a challenge in that situation. If he's telling the truth, right? The challenge in that situation to walk away is tough. Because imagine tanking in your first season, and as a black coach in the NFL, you're already on a short lease. So if you lose one game, they're already going to want you out of there. So that was the first situation. And then, so eventually, what happened when he left? This was the statement that they said. So basically, they said that Flores was non-compliant, difficult to work with. So that's the Miami situation, right? So they fire him. He despite having the franchise's first back-to-back winning season since 2003, they were 10-6 in 2020 and 9-8 in 2021. So, he goes on this process. He's like, hey, look, I'm going to interview for opportunities. He was pretty much the best coach for the job, any job right now in the NFL. He says, you know what? He gets the opportunity with the Giants, but I think was the best fit for Flores. So he starts to interview with the Giants, right? This is important. So the NFL Rooney Rule states that each head coaching job should hire, the Rooney Rule states this: each NFL head coaching vacancy that needs to be filled should hire at least, or can you get it out, Travers? Each head coaching job that needs to be filled if there's a vacancy, they have to interview in person one black head coach, right? What happened was this. So he spoke with someone from the Giants on the 18th, right, via Zoom. This is not in person. This is important, right? Not in person, to say, hey, look, we want to interview for the job, right? And they set his interview for the 27th. 3 days before they hired him, or before they interviewed him, Bill Belichick texted him, thinking it was Brian Daboll, who the Giants actually hired, saying congrats. And if you look at the text message, it's in this the text message that Belichick's text him, and it's actually kind of crazy. Let me pull it up here. So Belichick's text him. He says, "Sounds like you have landed. Congrats." Now Brian Flores texts back, "Did you hear something? I didn't hear." He says, "The Giants, I didn't interview on Thursday." He said, I think we have a shot at it. He said, "I think we have a shot." Thinking that he still has an opportunity, right? He says, "Got it. I hear from Buffalo and New York that you're the guy. I hope it works out if you want to." So Belichick's not necessarily doing anything bad. He just thinks he's trying to figure out who he's texting. He's definitely what I want. Hope you're right, coach. Thank you, right? Belichick then realizes, hey, I messed up. I texted the wrong person, right? So in this moment, Flores knows that he doesn't have the job. So he goes into the interview, and then what happens? He just interviews. It's just a formality at this point. He doesn't get the job. They say Brian Daboll gets the job, right? So think of that, right? So this is where he may, if for his class action suit, he may have ground right there. Now, if they brought in other black coaches in person, it doesn't really matter, right? Because the Rooney Rule says it has to be in person. His was via Zoom. So we'll take a close look at that. Now, the last scenario is he was going to interview, in 2019, he was going to interview for the Broncos head coaching job. He goes into the interview. They come in, John Elway and the president come in late, an hour late, looking disheveled. Obviously we're drinking the night before, and then went through some type of formality of an interview that weren't really taking him serious. A couple days later, they hired somebody else. So they hired Vic, who just got, who did 2 years and just got fired. Just got fired again. God bless the Broncos franchise, because a lot's going on right there. But I don't think anybody's surprised at what's going on. I mean, if you watch football, or you follow football the past couple of years, you know good and well that black coaches are not a hot topic in the NFL. If you think of it, the past 20 years since the Rooney Rule has been in effect, only 15 head coaching jobs have been filled by blacks. Right? You have 6 black GMs to 26 white GMs. So 18% of the NFL GMs are black. Now, I'll bet 70% of the players are black, right? So we see a lack in representation here, and I think that's important. So, and of course, you have no black owners at all. So I go on to say this right here because somebody said long ago, black coaches are usually hired to clean up white coaches' mess, and then be replaced by another white coach that really turns out to be the better option, right? Which has happened. And if you look at over the years, since 2000, we've only had 18 black coaches, right? God bless Mike Tomlin, because he's in there. He's in there by himself, and I'm happy he made the playoffs this year, because if not, they would have been coming at his job as well too. But I want to speak specifically on the class action suit and the landscape of what he's trying to prove. And I mentioned before, if he can't prove racial discrimination, he has to make a large enough impact to really address the rule. And the rule is something that, if anybody watches football, knows that black coaches have been discriminated against consistently till this day in NFL. The NFL has released multiple statements denying it. The Giants, the Broncos, and the Dolphins have released multiple statements denying it, and they're going to. But it's an alarming issue. And I think what we're seeing right now is we're seeing any type of social injustice, we're seeing it go through different layers. Right? The first layer we see go through is the players, right? Colin Kaepernick was a sacrificial lamb for the players, right? The next thing is the head coaching, right? So we're going through different layers of social, just equality and racial equality that needs to be pursued at the levels in the NFL. And I think what we're seeing right now is really groundbreaking. In the lawsuit, as I mentioned, he mentioned a bunch of names. What he's trying to pretty much, he said in the lawsuit, this is what he'd like to see addressed: increased influence of black individuals in hiring. So basically, he wants to be interviewed by people of his peers, of his peers. And basically, when you have white ownership, all the owners are not one owner is black. They want that type of camaraderie, that buddy boy club, right? Increase the objective of hiring, terminating GMs and head coaches and coordinators. Increase number of black coordinators. Incentivize hiring retention of black GMs, head coaches, and coordinators. And transparent of pay for GMs, head coaches, and coordinators. The lawsuit also seeks and specified damages from the league, which respond to the lawsuit later on. He posted this past Tuesday. Well, essentially today. So as I mentioned, if he can't prove racial discrimination, he has to make a big impact with his evidence, and that's very important. I don't think it's a secret that black coaches have been, and just race. Let me play this. I don't think it's a big secret that race has played a huge card in the NFL today, and the reluctancy of the owners is something that we need to talk about. No owner was going to take Kaepernick at all. And if you look at the quarterbacks when he was trying to come back into today, some of the quarterbacks are just atrocious. And what he's doing, he very well may lose his job. Never get a job in the NFL. I don't expect Brian Flores to get a job in the NFL, but the owners, right, at that top are owned by white people. And I think there's a certain type of people where blacks aren't welcome. And if you really want to see true change in the NFL, right, and you have to think of it, though. You can't force anybody to give over your franchise. You can't force anybody to hire. These franchises are being kept in the family, being bought by some of the largest, just the wealthiest people in the world. They're not, and NFL franchises make some of the most money of any type of organization and company in the world. They're just not going to give that over, even give the opportunity to blacks. Right? We're talking about opportunity. The opportunity for a black person to be an owner is not even there. Right? So when you have owners who don't even want, owners don't even want to give up position or give it to blacks, imagine how hard it is for a head coaching job. We're breaking through layers now, right? We're breaking through layers. I think the first layer was the players with Kaepernick. Brian Flores is a pioneer, when it comes to just this movement right now, and he has to create support. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with the National NFL Players Association, how the players are going to respond, because it's silent, and I'm glad it happened when the Super Bowl is happening. We're going to LA for the Super Bowl. I'm glad this is brought up. I'm glad it happened on the day that Tom Brady retired, right? Because I think this is an alarming issue that we need to specifically talk about. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen and follow along. I just created a quick spreadsheet of coaches in NFL since 2000. Out of the coaches since 2000, right? Out of the black coaches that are in the NFL, 8 of them had so they've hired. So there's been 19 coaches since 2000 who have coached. Since 2015. Since 2000, out of the black coaches in the NFL, 8 of them have had a winning record. 8 out of 15 had a winning record when they were done. So I just think it goes to show that black coaches are making waves in the NFL. The opportunities are very slim, but I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Brian Flores in this situation. It's just a start. If you get a chance, read the 58-page lawsuit. There's so much good content in there. As I mentioned, he talked about Kaepernick, Grinnell, Gruden, Dennis Allen, Michael Sam, George Floyd, Jim Caldwell, Steve Wilkes, David Culley, Eric Berman. Think of David Culley got fired after 1 year. After 1 year, your top quarterback, your all-pro quarterback is out for the season. And literally, your second-string quarterback gets injured on the season. You're starting to undraft a rookie. You're going out there winning games. So I don't know, man. It's tough. When 70% of the NFL players are black, you only have one black head coach, you have 6 black GMs, and no NFL owners. It's challenging, for black. So we'll see what happens with this. I'm gonna stay on it. If you have comments, definitely comment below your thoughts. I'm interested in your perspective. But that's all I wanted to cover today. Thank you for tuning in to Check Me. And once again, y'all, you guys have a good one.